Hello, everybody, and welcome to the shop powered by World Bicycle Relief. My name is Jesper Anker, and as always, I'm joined by the man with a million studio setups. How are you doing, Wesley Salzberger?
I'm good, Jesper. Thanks, mate.
Where are
And
we
this is a
streaming
bit of a
from
different.
tonight first? We gotta hear that.
Oh, tonight we're streaming from Flowery Gully in Tasmania at my parents' place.
Sorry, I was cutting you off. What were you saying before?
I said tonight we've got a bit of a new, different sort of format and what probably something you aren't used to. You haven't really devilled in the track cycling, have you?
Never been on the track. I've seen tracks, but I have been too scared of going on a bike with no brakes.
Fair enough. Well, this one they will be able to stop pedaling, but they probably won't want to because they're going to have to work really strongly to catch the front here. So if you're joining the stream, this is a handicap race. So we have grades, and as the race unfolds, the fastest guys in the A group have to catch essentially the D and B and C grade groups. So each group will try to work together. Obviously, that will benefit them to try and go for the overall win. And so that's a quick sort of rough and dirty of what you're in store for tonight. So we'll be going to be trying to follow along a few of the groups. So obviously, we'll follow along A grade and see if we can flick between the three. But each jersey as well will reflect a different group as well. So we'll work out as we go.
So I think the D's are about to go in 2 minutes' time, and then followed by the C's, and followed by the B's, and then followed by the A's in the end. Wes, what's the reasoning behind us expanding our race coverage? Because most people listening or tuning in tonight, they've seen our eCrit commentaries on Tuesdays. Now on Thursdays, we've got the Chop. Why are we doing this?
So we're trying to explore what different things in Zwift and what there is to offer. This is definitely a different race format and something that people aren't probably familiar with in racing style, but it's certainly going to be fun to cover and shed a new experience for people also racing it, but also from a viewer a different format, mixing it up.
So what's the strategy then? Because we've got 10 minutes until the A's go, the hounds, the really strong guys that can taste and smell blood in the air. What's the strategy? How do you win? Because not only do you have to win as a group, you also have to win as an individual.
Yeah, that's where you have to still play it smart. You don't want to be on the front driving it the whole way and then letting some of the other guys not come through and do turns with you. So you want to sort of keep that threshold pace, and that's what the groups will have to sort of work out as they go. What is that sort of pushing pace that people aren't getting dropped? Because essentially, when you're working with a group like that, your group is only as strong as the weakest rider. So you need to stay together, and you need to work together.
Pat Shaw is saying in the chat, still recovering from the E-crit as the D's are about to go. They're in the in-Gamba kit, the red and white, and they are off now. In the next 3 minutes' time, I believe the C's will go. Ben Gove in the chat is saying, hey out there, Wes and Jesper. Ben, I believe, is the race organizer. Is he not, Wes?
Yeah, Ben's put this race together. I've taken part in the race once before as well. Jumped in, was highly underdone. Started with the A group and only lasted about half of the race with the A group. So it is quite a difficult race. And I did actually. You will see some of the riders maybe jumping in that get lapped because I was one of those riders who got lapped and jumped back in with the B group and swapped off with them comfortably.
Hey, could happen to anyone. On the start list tonight, we, as we always do, we always cover the A races. So those are the riders that at least I myself know the best. We've seen that Pat Shaw's on the start list, James Hodges is on the start list, Kim Little is on the start list, Cameron Roberts is going to get it on the list as well. And I believe one of the Down Under employees might be involved, Wes, from the Swift office.
Last minute scratching, unfortunately. Yeah,
Oh.
Dinesh just sent me a message and said he's pulled the pin and decided to watch the stream instead. So he'll hopefully rock up next week. He's starting to get some solid training in now. So I'm putting the pressure on him and making him follow his training program because he seems to just paying someone to write a program and he doesn't actually get any of the workouts done.
I was
Now,
going to
that's not
say,
me, by the way, but it's each their own.
is that a deduction of wages, not showing up for the chop? I mean, that should be a mandatory down under event. Show up, you get benefits. Don't show up, we're going to take your bike away from you.
No, Dinesh isn't on the chopping block. He's a great guy and really great working with him. So look forward to seeing him maybe get involved next week, or if not the E-Crit. But back to the guys at the race here. I think it's going to be obviously, like I was saying, Jess, but with these hitters that we have in the race, like Pat Shaw and your Cameron Roberts, Linton Zavatsky's in there as well. It's going to be interesting seeing these guys, and finding that line of working together because they want to work together well, but at the same time, no one really will want to do too much, as in sitting on the front the whole time. So it's really going to be fun watching them, how they start to swap off and how they work together. And obviously, some guys are going to be maybe a little bit stronger on the hill. So is Cameron Roberts going to do part of a longer turn up the hill? Or are they going to try and keep it short and sharp turns and keep it rolling?
The thing is, the race is only about 33 kilometers, as you can see up in the top right corner. That's about 5 laps of the counterclockwise volcano circuit. That's like 33 kilometers to catch 10 minutes on the D riders. Like that sounds pretty tough, doesn't it, Wes?
That's a fair amount of time, but knowing these races in the past and chatting to Ben, if A grade work together well, and not just A grade, if B grade and even C grade sometimes get together as well, and it can unfold that the other groups, the A group obviously have to work together well, but also the other groups in B and C, if they get together as well, then they have a fair chance of trying holding off A grade. So yeah, and like this is a general, not just track cycling, but a general sort of club race that you would have, that I used to be part of back when I was a junior. We'd have it was about a 30-kilometer race as well. And we would give literally, the front guys 10 minutes or so in this 30K race, and we'd all just swap off flat out, and then it was sort of whoever had the legs at the end to sprint.
But in real life, it's a bit different than to Swift, because in real life, you can take turns, you can really draft. On Swift, there's not really that whole, taking turns at the front, rotating, having your chain gang. So it'll be interesting to see how this
Yep.
one pans out. I know Ben just sent us a message saying that Linton Savatsky has been killing it in this race, and he does really fit the bill for the kind of rider who would dominate this race, because Linton Savatsky, he can follow the best, and then he can beat them in the sprint. I mean, it's going to be tough to beat Linton.
Yeah, Linton, he's certainly a fast sprinter, and he loves to inflict pain on himself. So this sort of race suits him down the ground. Looked like a fair sized group there. That was C grade getting away there too.
It was. I did think I saw on the start list that people are tuning into the stream right now. So if you're listening, right on, keep the WhatsApp and do your best. It's about an hour in the pain cave, in the pain zone. So you should just battle through it, get to the end, and then look up. I also see, speaking of pain caves, B. McCarthy at the Pain Cave West. This is something you said to me prior to going live. What is the Pain Cave?
So the Pain Cave is a studio setup which has Zwift stations. It has 12 Zwift stations set up. They're all using Wahoo kickers and using like gaming computers as well set up to screen. So essentially is a very polished setup. I went out and had checked it out. Had a good chat to Ben. It's out at Williamstown, so it's a short ride from the city. And Ben has been really supportive of using Zwift as a platform for his clients to come around and race, and then putting on events like this. Ben's it's great for him and great for us that we have a area that people, maybe if they don't have a garage or an area to Zwift, this is another avenue as well, and something that's out there. So. And also Spin Labs are also, I think, racing tonight. I think Lawrence is in here racing too. So great to have these other guys join in and get involved in this and help support the community.
I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger, the whole idea of having a studio dedicated to just Swift riding, group riding, racing, workouting, whatever you're doing. Because I've seen it in Amsterdam. I talked to you about this before. In Amsterdam, I saw 24 Neos on a line where they were doing some racing for the Dutch Nationals. I've seen in Australia where Shane Miller went to one of the Spin Labs or whatever it was, where they had either Swift on the big screen or some sort of other software. That's only going to get bigger as it's going to be more and more difficult, or more and more people are going to want to get into this, but they're going to be traveling, they're going to be training, like it's a fast-paced lifestyle, so it's really cool and interesting to see initiatives like the Pain Cave get involved. In about 18 seconds time, we're going to see the B category go off, and then it's only 3 minutes until the A's are going to go down the start ramp. Wes, every group tonight has got a group leader. For the A's, it's Keith Leonard. For the C's, it's Ben Gove. What is the group leaders or the? I guess he is actually the group leader. What's his role? What's the point of having one?
Well, the group leader, and if you just saw Keith mentioned then that work together, guys, and keep it nice and tight. So obviously, there's going to be some riders in here that may not have be as experienced, as cyclists, and not just as Zwifters. So, some people may have come from a running background or rowing, and maybe physically really strong, but don't really have that idea of race tactics. So that's the idea of working together and keeping it nice and smooth. And as we saw, Keith just typed to the rest of the A group saying, no big surges, because essentially, it might pick up the pace for that part of the course. But if you're doing big surges, it's a sprint for everyone, and it's like, again, it's that stop starting like we see on the London course. Every time there's a surge up that climb, leading into the finish at 2 to 3K to go, we see a few riders drop off. So even though we have a strong group in A grade, there may be some other riders there that aren't quite as strong, but could still help with the workload. And with that surging, then we may lose those riders early, and then we don't get the benefit out of those riders of having them there.
This is the first time I've actually spectated or even broadcast in this race, and I'm really interested to see all the big E-crit hitters having to work together, Wes, because in the E-crit, it's mano a mano. Here, if they don't work together, we're going to see the C's or the B's take the win. How do you put your ego aside and work for the greater good, Wes?
Yeah, this is going to be interesting because these guys do race against each other in the E-crit and like to attack each other. Where this time they'll be attacking it in a different manner. They'll be attacking it all together as a unit. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the unity and how this builds here. I'm sure they're going to do their best, but again, they will have to live and learn and try this out. See how things go. I'm really interested to see how things unfold.
Well, 1 minute to go, everybody. If you're watching on Mixer or on Facebook, or if you're listening in the game right now, how about you just click the reaction button to this live stream, either a like or a love, or just leave a comment, interact with it, get it out there. We are broadcasting this race because we want to see you guys put down some massive numbers, show how racing is really done on Zwift. And with 30 seconds to go, West, I think we should get our prediction out of the way early tonight because this is the pilot episode. We have no idea what's going to happen. Wes, is the winner going to come from the D, C's, B's, or A category? What do you think?
Oh, I think with this many riders in the A group, it'd be hard to doubt someone in the A group taking the win. And then also with Linton Zavatsky being dominant, but then Cameron Roberts and Pat Shaw. There's so many names here, but I'm going to say A grade are going to get up. It's a fair hike for them to get up with 10-minute gap to D grade, but I'm going to say A grade is going to get up.
Here they go. Every group has now been let go out on course. You can see the gap to the front group is about 3 minutes with Fearless Rider out on course. I just skipped up to the B riders. They can see each other out there and they're off. It's going to be really, really difficult to keep the A riders at bay, West. But I do think with only 33 kilometers of racing, we should see the B riders actually stay away and fight for the win because it's a really, really, really strong A group. But there's also a lot of egos in here. I doubt we're going to see them work together.
There is, but yeah, you are following Andy Naylor now. So Andy worked with the British national team back when I was over in Italy. He was working for the under-23 national team as a soigneur and top bloke. And I went and popped around and saw him the other day. He's also massaging now in at Spin Labs. So I went out to Hamilton and checked out his setup as well. So he's got a few people racing tonight as well with the setups. I think they've got 6 Zwift stations in the Spin Labs as well. So good to see that Andy. He said he'd be keen to jump in. I let him know of the times tonight. So good to see him in there in A group working away with the boys.
You've been pushing this event pretty hard for the last week and a half, Wes. Every conversation I've had with you, it's been, Jesper, the chop. Oh, here's the chop. Every time I've been tagged by Wes, man, it's been, oh, here's the chop. This, I believe, will live up to expectation. But if it doesn't, I know Wes is going to go drown his tears tonight.
Yeah, I have talked it up. I've raced the event, so I really enjoy when I was taking part in it. So even though I probably didn't go as well as I could have, like I said, I was pretty fresh. But it looks like the things have been stretching out a little bit here. Keith is up the front here, trying to keep things together. So Keith has got the riders leader beacon above his head there. So trying to keep it all together. Looked like we had a little bit of a surge from Roberts to the front there as well. So Roberts is probably going to have to keep things in line a little bit there, and Keith's probably going to have to try and type to him at 174 beats and say, cool it a little bit.
So there's a bit of strategy going into this because Cameron Roberts and Linton Savatsky are now teammates on Vision. Cameron Roberts, we know, can hold 5.5 watts per kilo for days. Why doesn't Cameron Roberts just do that? Just sit at the front, do 5.5 watts per kilo, catch every single group, and just put Linton Savatsky in the position he wants to be. He wants to be in that group with no one else up the front, cover the moves, and then win the sprint. That could be a race scenario we see out on course. We did just see the D category, which was the first group to go. They had a 10-minute gap. They're about 4 kilometers ahead now of the A group, which is chasing really, really fast. They should still be in the lead. We'll try my very, very best to dig through the groups and see where everyone is. But as you know, the tools are not quite available there just yet. Keith Leonard says, no, Jesper, we need to work together. Keith is obviously listening in. So, no, it's all good
to
so
see
far.
that. Good to see the riders are listening into the stream, probably trying to get any insight and knowledge if we can start to scan a bit ahead to see where the other riders are. Obviously, they can see some live splits in front of them, but interesting to see that they're tuned in and listening to us, mock away here at the racing that's unfolding. So just a correction there as well with Spin Labs. I've been updated by my trusty colleague, Danish, that I said Hamilton. It's actually Spin Labs is in Hampton, not Hamilton. So yeah, sorry about that. So that's correction done. And Jesper, where are we now? We're in the C group. This is Ben, who's the leader of the C group.
We're in the C group, so they are second out on course right now, but they are looking like they're going to catch the D group, who are at about 7 kilometers into the race. The C group is at 6.2, so they will catch them pretty soon. So they will be the leaders out on course. But if we go into the A category, you'll see it's already splitting up. Kim Little is out the back. James Hodges is out the back. And now they're pushing on in the front group as Keith Leonard continues to write instructions on the screen. Does that help, Wes? When you're racing, does it help to see those massive like sport directive messages?
Yeah, well, usually you'd have them in your ear, but at the moment, yeah, it's just as effective for the riders to read this on screen. Keith is doing a mighty fine job as well. Hopefully, he has someone helping him type, because otherwise, that's impressive at 180 beats and typing and making coherent sense as well. So that's an awesome job by Keith. But yeah, it definitely does help having some sort of leader there to keep people in check as well. I may not also be telling people to slow down. It may be telling them to increase the pace as well, or calling someone out and saying, you've been on the back for a while now, come up and do a turn.
This is our leaders. We got F. Bodin, Beatson, and Backshaw. 3 riders out in the front wearing the Mgampa kit. They're racing in the D category, but they've got a gap of about 1 kilometer on the C riders that are chasing them, 4 to about 3 kilometers on the B riders, and 5 kilometers on the A riders. It's going to be difficult to stay away. They've got 3 more of this, about another 20 kilometers before they can see the finish line. If you are a D category rider, West, that means you're about 2.5 watts per kilo FTP. How do you stay away? How do you possibly keep every other category at bay and take the win?
Well, they definitely have to work together. They don't have the firepower, so they really need to make sure they get the most out of each other. Again, it does come back to that old working together as well. So each group here has to have that same mentality to stay together, because they aren't stronger solo; they're stronger as a unit together. So we see a fair few of these riders getting some ride-ons now. So great to see people supporting the D group as well.
You gotta share the love, everybody. Everybody no matter which group they're in, they're working to their best of their ability to keep the group behind them actually way behind them. The gap between the A riders and the B riders is actually sitting around 3.5 minutes. So somehow the B riders have gained 30 seconds. They've actually grown the gap by about 30 seconds to the A riders, and that's not what they want to see. And with about 25 kilometers to go now as they enter the circuit, they're going to have to slowly claw back that gap. 3.5 minutes. It's going to be tough, Wes.
It's going to be tough for them. And we're getting a few messages there that some people are having some technical difficulties with their internet at home as well. So I've had a couple of people drop out. And we also have Darren Lapthorne has joined in the stream. So Darren Lapthorne, Australian champion, rode with Darren Lapthorne in Drapac. So hopefully this is kindling up lappers to jump in and get amongst this virtual handicap race, because that's something that that lappers would really, he used to always do his local club races and would definitely know this format and would understand what I'm talking about here, of the riders all working together and trying to chase down the front groups.
So you've done both, Wes. You've done the outside version and the Zwift version. How do they compare? Does the actual concept translate well to indoor racing in Zwift?
It does. Like, yeah, from I've only raced it once. I did get dropped, but even after I did drop off the group, I jumped back in with B group as they come through and waited another lap. And as rolling through with B group, I found that, yeah, like we were working really well together. And then even some of the other riders that were dropped from the group were still working well together. So it's almost a little bit of an education sort of system for people that aren't used to riding together collectively, can then sort of also correlate to working together with someone in the real world as well, in a real life race or event. Because yeah, you certainly know that once you're dropped, if you're on your own, then it does feel literally like that you are on your own. But working with one or two other riders that are dropped with you and just trying to do your very best, and that's what we see a lot here. Talking to Ben Gove as well about this race, is even when riders are dropped from their group, they will work together to the finish, and that's what we would see in a real life handicap race like this. You'd still, even though you might have been dropped, you'll still chop off at your threshold to the limit, to the line, just get it done. So it's cool to see that mentality is still is correlating to this sort of format as well.
The C Riders West, they've just entered the fourth lap with our 4 laps remaining now. They have 2.5 minutes on the B group. That means about 5 to 6 minutes on the A group with 4 laps to go. We've seen this volcano circuit so many times. It's pretty much flat the entire way, except for the very, very end where you've got that intro, you got the whole little bump into the finish line. That's the only point where your group can split up. Otherwise, you got to sit at the front, consistently put down the power. Keith Leonard is saying to the A guys that they're doing great work and they're getting into a groove. We have seen that Cameron Roberts has been shelled fairly early on into the race, whether that's mechanical or maybe he's starting to feel those Tuesday E-crit legs.
No, that was a mechanical. He said he said he had a mechanical, so that's unfortunate for him, because yeah, he would have been a great workhorse there to have for them, and also like most likely a contender as well if the group did try to get up for the win. But Linton probably may be happy about that, but may not be happy without the extra firepower as well.
Yeah, it looks like Cameron Roberts, he gave it a go to get back on, but this group is just pacing so fast. You can see it strung out. Like in real life, the more strung out the peloton is, the faster they're going, and you can see this A group. They are non-stop having a rider on the front, about 4.5 watts per kilo, just hammering it down because they know they are running out of time. The A riders are the strongest, but with 30 kilometers, it doesn't leave much road space. Like, there's just not enough real estate to maybe catch the breakaway. And Keith Leonard is putting in a good actually idea there, because usually, Wes, in this racing, there's no laps out. In Zwift racing, you don't get a lap out if you get a puncture or whatever. But since this is the chop, you could potentially sit up, watch for them to come back, get back on the front, and hammer it for your teammates.
You could, and that's like I said, when I did this race, I was dropped about halfway through the race, and yeah, I was a bit disappointed. But I sat up, rolled a lap, and then jumped in with B grade and swapped off with them. So yeah, essentially, we could see Cameron Roberts maybe take a lap down and work with the group, much to D grade's probably disgust if that does happen.
They've
Because,
just been caught. Well, they haven't been caught, but they've been caught physically out on course. That's the D grade lead right now, 4 kilometers ahead of the A riders. But this is the fear when you are a lower category rider. You can see that train just come chucking along as you are doing your best, but they just look like they're going light speed, like they're ready to go into hyper mode, and you are sweating.
I mean, I can relate to this from track racing. The Tasmanian Christmas carnivals, you have handicap style racing exactly like this around a circuit. And I would start off 180 meters in front of the A grade, in front of scratch. So yeah, I know that feeling of fast guys breathing down your neck and whizzing by you, because like you think you're doing so well, and then you hear this whoosh, and then you're like, oh, that's the scratch markers, that's the A graders. Yeah, you really feel like you're going somewhere, and then they just absolutely go around you at warp speed.
I see we do have a WP task right out on course today. Mr. Sullivan is in the C group, which looks to be soon one of the leading groups out there as they catch the D riders. Where's the rest of the WP task, boys? Wes, this seems to be a reoccurring conversation we're having. What's happening?
Yeah, well, I was hoping to have Nadzi and a few of the crew in there tonight. Nadzi was not able to jump in because he had work. He's at the fire brigade tonight, saving for lives and looking after the place in Launceston. And the other guys, I haven't heard anything. I made it very clear, like you said, I've been talking about this race for a good week now, and so's Ben. Ben's been very active on the social posting and making sure this race was well known about. So it's great that we got almost, I think, 50 odd in the start pen. But yeah, as far as the WP Taz guys goes, we are light on numbers. I think it's Sullivan who's in there from
Yep.
our crew. Is that in C grade? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So great for jumping in there, Chris. And I think it's Chris Sullivan, and making sure that the WP Taz is represented. But as a whole, it is a pretty poor turnout for WP Taz tonight.
In the A group, we've seen that James Hodges and Kim Little have both had a mechanical. So they waited an entire lap. They sat there at 0 watts per kilo. You know, they changed the flat tire, got out the hand pump, pumped out the tire, got back on, and now they are leading the front group. James Hodges sitting at 7 watts per kilo, trying to get them up along now. They've caught 30 seconds on the B group so far, over 10 kilometers. They need to catch 3 minutes. 30 seconds and 10 kilometers just isn't enough, Wes.
No, it isn't. It isn't at all. So yeah, it looks like a little bit of a split here as well with that extra surge on the front there now. So they want to make sure that they keep things tight here and work together. I mean, these surges are great that they're lifting up the pace, but at the same time, you want to keep it smooth, and that's what you find works the best. These surges are great to lift the pace, but then we don't want it so there's a lull there after that surge. So it needs to be fast and smooth.
Now you see Kim and James, they're still sitting at 6 watts per kilo both. You would think they could only hold this for a lap or two, but it should help because on Zwift there's a draft effect. So the front guys might be pushing out 50 kilometers an hour, but the guys further back, they are doing the same speed but less watts. So they can follow, but they can also save energy at the same time. So Kim and James, they're no longer in contention for the individual win, but they can get the team win, the category win, if they catch the C's, the B's, and the D's. It will be difficult, but they are spending all the energy to try and get it back up to the front. The question when watching this, Wes, is a group always faster than the individual? Because this is a conversation that comes up in team time trials. Like, is Tom Dumoulin faster on his own, or with the whole like Sunweb squad? What do you think?
Well, I'd probably say Tom Dumoulin's an exception. He probably could just diesel it on his own, but generally, you are stronger as a group. Absolutely. It's we see that when with Aussie Hump Day and the after party. The group that doesn't actually take part in the after party will catch other riders that blow up out of that after party. Because even though they're trying to push on to the end, the group of a group is always going to move along quicker than an individual, unless you have a rare case like you were just saying with the old diesel engine of Dumoulin or someone like that.
That's where Cameron Roberts would fit in. I think personally that Cameron Roberts might be faster as a solo individual than the whole chasing
Well,
peloton.
Well, the other thing is that if he wanted to test that, Cameron Roberts could just sit on the front at his threshold like he would attacking and see who holds the wheel, because he can hold a high numbers in that sort of 5 watts per kilo range. And also Kim Little as well can hold around that 5 watts per kilo. So it'd be interesting to see if that sort of format took place of changing the tactics a bit, of them just going out time trialing it. But essentially, if those top guys did that, then you wouldn't have much of a group left. So
No. So what we're seeing now we're about halfway through the race. We've got the D category still in the front. They have about 2 minutes down to the C category. The C category's got a minute and a half to the B category, and the B's to the A split is now down to 2 minutes. Halfway through the race,
Mm-hmm.
the A category guys have got a minute and a half in the B's, but if the B's can't catch the C's, you end up having the C's winning the race. This is where the chop kind of comes into play. And
Yeah.
I gotta admit, Wes, I'm kind of falling in love with this format. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, this is handicap racing at its best. So if you've just joined in, like Johnny Rain has just tuned in. So g'day Johnny. Johnny's from down Hobart way, another local lad. So hopefully we get Johnny involved in some of the racing here as well. And this is handicap racing at its best. So like your track racing, like your local road club race, the A group has to work to catch the B, the C, and the D grade. And as we see here tonight, everyone looks like they're putting in some really thrashing efforts here, and everyone looks like they're working well together. We haven't got too many big long surges, or it doesn't look like over the crest of these climbs that they're stretching out too much. At least they're coming back together. So they're all working well here tonight. And also each ride leader has been a key player in making sure their group stays nice and smooth as well.
Especially we've seen Keith Leonard and Ben Gove both writing massive text on there going, come on, let's pick it up, guys. Let's go faster. 6 to 7 watts per kilo on these bits. That's essentially what Fabio Amati of Zwift would have done back down in Surrey when I lived near the London office when we went on group rides. He would take it up, take it down, and make sure that everyone stays together. So shout out to him.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing Pat Shaw's in here. He's been awfully quiet lately. I mean, he's sitting in. We haven't really seen him take a turn yet. This is where you can kind of shell out guys, Wes, because some guys, they haven't really like participated in this. They haven't really taken a turn at the front yet.
No, some of these guys may actually be passengers as well. They may not actually physically be able to do a turn. And that's where, you have to actually try and do with Zwift as well. The downhills are just as hard as the up as well. And we see Keith here saying just before that we have to pick this up a bit, boys. And he's saying tighten up. So they're stretching out a bit here. They want it to be tightened up so then they can get the other guys that may not have hit the front yet to do at least one pull and roll to the front here.
The thing is, you can sit at the front at about 5 watts per kilo, but it's so counterintuitive. Everyone that's ever been on Zwift knows that you want to do the least maximum effort you can do. You want to sit in and you just want to save energy. But in this, if you don't spend energy, you won't even have the chance to use the rest in the end. You'll be fighting for 12th, 15th, 20th, which for many of these riders is something that never ever happens. Like, when is the last time you've heard Linton Savatsky sprint for 11th place in an Australian race? Never. Unheard of.
No, that doesn't happen. So Mick Polomier has joined as well and says hello to us, Jasper. So great for tuning in there, Mick. I don't think he's part of the race tonight. Is Mick
No.
part of the race?
Mr. Polly's
No,
not
but
on the
Mick-
list from what I can see.
But Mr. Polly does get involved in the racing here. So great to see him joining in. Has anyone seen Linton pull a turn? Oh, call out there from Keith. Keith has called Linton out.
Oh, he's moving up, Wes. He's moving up. He's sitting second wheel. Oh, almost.
Someone's given him a ride on straight away. He's pulled his turn. So that's the other thing too, that these riders can do the shout out, and it's interesting to see the ride leader do the call out there as well. So I'm sure maybe a few people are thinking it, but now Linton's ticked off his turn for the night and is ready to rock and roll. Also, I haven't seen, I'm going to do a call out as well. I haven't seen Pat Shaw up the front as well. I've seen him like in the group, but I haven't seen him right at the front taking a turn yet.
You mean like what he's doing right now?
Oh, yeah, there we go, right.
Nice timing there, Wes.
Shut up.
Commentator's curse, man. Exactly what you say. The opposite is just about to happen around the corner. 2 minutes now up to the B group, and they've got about 13 kilometers to go, 3 laps out on course. It's going to be really difficult to catch this B group because not only is it bigger in numbers, the watts per kilo isn't that different from the A group. I think they're only doing 0.7, 0.8 less watts per kilo. And over 30 kilometers with a 3-minute head start, that blob will at least maintain a minute and a half almost gap on the front. But the question is, are they going to catch the C group, which is a minute up the front, led on by the great Ben Gove? You can see they've also got a massive pack, and they're using power-ups at the front, using their aero power-ups coming through, their featherweights, their drafting. And then last but not least, We've got our 3D group riders out there. I think Bodine might get an upgrade and doesn't quite count in the overall results as he's holding above 3 watts per kilo. We've got Backshaw and Meetson with a 50-second lead with about 12 kilometers to go. I think the D category riders will get caught, but it's a big question whether or not the Bs can catch the Cs, Wes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether that happens because Ben, obviously, the founder of this race, may be looking to try and to steal the win on the first live broadcast of the Chop. Now, wouldn't that be a hit?
You would not hear the end of it. I think every every Facebook group would be lit up with the job winner and swag because there are actually prizes on the line. WBR, the sponsor of this, have actually put up some pretty neat prizes for the winners.
Yeah, there are some prizes as well. So it's great to see that Ben has really he's worked hard and had this race running for a while now. So I'm happy to bring some light on it, and people know that this interesting format, of the Chop, that people can get involved. Either watching this stream or if they feel the hand at it, maybe next week jumping in and having a race.
It is getting close now, Wes. We've got the D's are less than 50 seconds up the road, less than 300
Oh,
meters
this is
between
good.
them. The B's is coming within a minute now, and we are about to enter the final 3 laps of racing, or the final 2 laps of racing. And of course, we'll see once we cross that start finish banner. 36 seconds, you can see it now on the right hand side. The B's, you can see them up here, 58 seconds, 57 seconds. It's coming down. And then the big question, how far back are the A's? 2 minutes, Wes. 2 minutes that they
Two
have to catch.
minutes. 2 minutes with 3 laps to go. They're going to really have to work hard here together. We see an aero power up being pushed here now by Curly.
We do. So he's on the front, popping the aero power up, taking in his turn. A newcomer to the racing, a guy we haven't really seen all that much of, even though he's rocking a really nice mustache. Just gotta say that. It comes down to, do you save your aero power up? Because like all logic again says, no, save it. Don't use it. Wait for the sprint. But as we see now, we got Kim Little on the front with his aero power up, like dragging the group along. This comes down to, you just got to keep the average kilometers an hour, the speed, as high as possible. And even just having the chance to sprint for the win is what this is about, Wes. It comes down to, can
Yeah.
you catch, not can you win.
Yeah, exactly. That's where, the selfish riders or that aren't a team player, that's where you'll maybe see them guarding those power ups and that, but you may not have the eligibility of trying to win the race, because if you don't work together, then you're going to be, like you said, you're going to be sprinting for 12th place. So that's where it's interesting. And even using these power ups as well, they have to be a little bit strategic in thinking about how to use these. So we see Kim Little off the front here now after using his power up. So you almost want to use your power up to recover your legs a little bit. But at the same time, that's not actually helping the bunch in that effect of using the power up and being off the front here, where you'd almost want to use the power up and try and just sort of hold it a little bit in front of the bunch, so you get that 3 to 4 meter gap, so they're getting a set. But you don't want to really be solo out in front using your aero power up. That's not benefiting the group.
We're going to see the first catch of the day, the first ever catch of the WBR broadcast. That is a tongue twister. World Bicycle
Did
Release.
you see? Did you see the amount of ride-ons in the back pocket there?
Wait,
There was
what?
a massive amount of ride-ons in the back pocket
Oh,
of
for
that of
Bagshaw.
Bagshaw.
Yeah. Maybe he's got a
So that's
fan club or two out there. Maybe a fan page on Instagram.
Tony Bagshaw. I've seen that name around a lot. So Tony has been on Zwift for a fair while as well. So great to see Tony in here smashing out the watts. And these riders here, hats off to them. They've given it their all, but it looks like in the background now we see the group coming up behind them, Jesper.
That is Ben Gove's C group catching now. They're going to catch them. Got 2 seconds through. They're going to go right by them. The D riders will not give up. They'll still fight to keep off the B's and the A's further back, but it's going to be a challenge. The C group is now caught and is now in the lead. They still have about 40 seconds down to the B group behind, and we're going to see what lap we're on when we cross the start-finish banner in just a second here. As they turn right, they will see the banner, I do believe, and they will see the countdown ticker on the right. They'll see it move down a bit. This could actually be close. Let's have a look at what it says on the right. Is that 2 right now? Are we on the final lap? I believe this is the final lap right now, Wes. The beginning count was wrong. I think this is the final lap.
Well, I did see that little message on Keith's one saying 6 out of 7, and I wasn't sure whether it was a lapse or not. I was just about to bring that up. That was a little while back. He's saying, the drill guy is 6 out of 7, so he was obviously
With
meaning the
Zwift power
lapse
down,
there.
Wes, it's really, really, really difficult to find information such as this. So please bring Zwift power back, please.
And that's where we're going on the ride leaders for their knowledge there. So, Keith, if you're listening, can you confirm that? Make sure that we have got it right. So this is the last lap to our knowledge.
This is the pilot, everybody. I've never seen a chop race before, so we do apologize for the lack of information. You should have seen the early E-Credit broadcast. They weren't exactly the stellar production level quality they are now with the great Wesley Salzburger. So I think this is the final lap of racing. The B group is 34 seconds down. I think the winner is going to come from the C category, Wes.
I think it's going to be very difficult for them to bring back C. They seem to be working really well here together. There's power-ups being popped. No one's saving anything. That looks like a draft error up on the front there by Cowley. So this is looking very good for Ben to maybe take out his own race.
Oh,
And
Keith is
yes,
saying
it's
this
the last
is
lap.
the last lap. So something might have gotten wrong in the organization of this event. That happens in real life too. Sometimes there are potholes. Sometimes you get oncoming traffic. Today, they forgot to put the cones out at the right distance between. It happens. This is the final lap of racing. And Wes, this doesn't happen often for us. We don't get a chance to call the win from the C category. Now,
Yeah.
who are we giving a nickname tonight, Wes? Who is being dubbed a name?
Dubbed a name? Out of C group here, you mean?
Yeah, we have to find
Out of C
somebody and
group.
we need to pick that man up.
Okay, well, we've got Bowie in there as well. D Bowie. Just a couple down from there, you can see D Bowie.
I do see him. I was thinking more of like Bowie, David Bowie. You see?
Bowie, yeah, Bowie. And
Almost.
MacArthur, is MacArthur, is that James MacArthur?
Yeah, I think it is from the Pain Cave.
Yeah.
Have a look.
Uh,
Actually, it's 22
let's have a
seconds now
look
down to
through
the B
there.
group, Wes. We might actually be calling it too
Oh,
early, the B group. Look at how they're chasing on, Wes. McCarthy's down
well,
here.
and and as the B group hear us saying the winner's going to come from C, they're like, yeah, like hell it is, and they must be working together twice as hard now. So go, Ben. Come on, Ben. Let's see if you can get your troops here rallied up. It's going to be hard for you to hold off the B group here now because it looks like they're only, what is it, 20 something
20
seconds now
seconds.
behind.
20 seconds between the C's and the B's. They could actually catch them on the final incline because they're going to go out of the volcano, go around the volcano, and then they're going to have to do that incline. We got JJ putting down 8 watts per kilo now, so he's trying to bridge across. You've worked together now, Wes, but now is when you have to think about the individual victory. You can bridge across on your own now and maybe time trial to the finish. And that is what JJ, but he's
Yep.
at 201 beats per minute, Wes. He's suffering.
That is a mighty high heart rate. So either that sensor is reading a bit high, or he's actually spinning his heart rate so fast now, like a sewing machine. So JJ, it looks like he's going to be brought back here. He's not getting that gap that he probably wanted. It is downhill here as well, so it's going to be hard for him to roll off. Looks like the Ben McCarthy's taking up the chase now behind him and is going to go right by him, actually.
10 seconds to the front. If you look at the map in the right hand corner, you can see the C group, you can see the B group. They're chasing each other out on course. They can almost see each other visually as well out on course. It's gonna be a tight finish. The C riders, everyone is panicking now. Ben Gove is trying to get all his troops in the right move, but it looks like with 10, 9, 8, it's ticking down, and the A riders are nowhere to be seen, Wes.
No, it doesn't look like the A riders. And having Kim Little and also Cameron Roberts have a mechanical hasn't helped the A grade riders, but nevertheless, that's the way these handicap races roll. Sometimes it's not always the fastest guys in the race; it's the guys who work together as well. So C grade have worked really strongly here together. Ben's run a really tight ship and organised
Oh,
them
here
well.
goes
So we'll
Ben.
see.
Here
Here
goes
goes Ben.
Ben.
Ben And it looks like Ben.
730 watts west. He's trying to break it. He wants to win this so bad. He knows the B riders coming from behind. Ben is going for this one, but he's got MacArthur right in his wheel as the B group is making the catch. We're within the final 600 meters now. The B riders have just made the catch. JJ with an aero power up and his 206 beats per minute heart rate. He is going for it. But he's got nothing left, Wes. He's going to try to catch MacArthur, but he's 1 second up, holding 5 watts per kilo. This is the C's versus the B's. Who is it going to be? It's a slow sprint, but they've got nothing left to give. It's going to be MacArthur, Cowley, and JJ. B's versus C's. It is Cowley from the C's trying to hold him off with Ben Gove. Come on, Ben. Up. Ben Gove is going to take the win. Ben
He's
Gove.
gonna take it.
No way.
Everybody.
Everybody.
With his own race. With his own race. Well done, Ben. That's awesome. Spartacus, well done. Nice work, Ben.
What a race.
We don't even have to give Ben a nickname. He's got his own nickname already. He stole that of someone else. Spartacus has taken it out. That is awesome.
And while they're crossing
What
line
a
west, we got the
finish.
A riders finishing up now. It's a heads-up sprint between Craig Keane and Linton Savatsky. They've both got an aero power up. They're going to be fighting for secondary positions, but it looks like it's going to be Linton Savatsky taking the win in the A category. Craig Keane up there, and then Pat Shaw and a few other riders further down. The Chop, powered by World Bicycle Relief. Wes, that was amazing. That was fun. What a race.
That was awesome. You could not pick that, and I thought Ben had went way too early. He hit with about, what was it, 800 to go or something.
Yeah.
Like it was a long way out. Hit them hard with an 800-watt sprint, and then sort of sat back in. But he had that aero power up his sleeve, and he's very confident of that aero power up, and come back flying at the end, and just managed to take the win. Just in that last, I guess it was the last 100 meters or so. So well done to Ben, taking it out. What a live stream. First one live stream, and the founder and winner of the race, Ben Gove. Well done.
On that note, everybody, go follow the Chop Facebook group. You can see all the information of when these races happen. Get involved. We saw a C rider win one of the biggest broadcasts here on Facebook. That never happens, everybody. Ben Gove, you are the man. Wesley, thank you so much for taking the time to broadcast with me. Everyone tuning in, commenting, liking, reacting, engaging, thank you so much as well. Without you, we wouldn't be here. And without further ado, have a great day wherever you are. We'll see you next Tuesday for more eCrit broadcasts.